Alright, it's GhostWolf, and welcome back to another Dev Diary, Ghost Pups, and Pixelmon fans in general. So this Dev Diary is going to be a little bit different than the last one. I do apologize for it being a little bit delayed, but it's going to feature mostly a whole collection of all little kinds of small changes and small bugs rather than very large things like the spawning system, because there's been a lot of bugs that we've found during beta testing, and they don't really fill up a whole video worth themselves, so I'll probably be going through about 5 or 10 different bugs during this video. Before I start, though, I want to cover a couple very, very important things. Number 1, when is Pixelmon 3.0 coming out? The official statement is it's going to be released on February 31st. Now, for those of you who don't seem to grasp that as a joke, there is no February 31st. It's going to get done when it's done, whenever all the beta testing is confirmed that we have no critical errors, the game will work fine, won't delete players, existing data when you upgrade, things like that have to be made sure of first. And as you'll see in the rest of the video, there are still quite a few bugs that we're fixing. That being said, there's also the other question of what version of Minecraft is Pixelmon 3.0 going to be for. It's going to be for 1.6.4. I think you will have to upgrade your Forge, and the Forge version you'll have to use will depend on what we finish coding with on the release. So I don't know exactly what Forge version you should upgrade to, but it's a 1.6.4 Minecraft. Pixelmon will not update to 1.7 or 1.7.2 or whatever it is up on now until we have a good version of Forge and after the 3.0 release. Because the update after the 3.0 release, if Forge finally gets a usable, stable release, then we'll be upgrading, and it'll just be like a 3.1 or something where we just port it over to 1.7, but we probably won't be really changing very much. That could also be 3.2, depends on when Forge gets things done. But for this 3.0 release, it's 1.6.4. Alright, with that, I'll start going through each of the kind of funny bugs and odd bugs that we've come across in our beta testing. Alright, so for the first bug that we've come across with our beta testing, some Pokemon actually have turned out to not be spawning correctly, or not spawning in the correct level. So like Pokemon like Chandelure, let's see, Pokespawn Chandelure. So it's spawning at level 2. This is a fairly high level evolution, and so that's one of the things that we have messed up. It's actually looking pretty good. Let me see if I go slash times set 2700. I think there's also a bug where it has issues with its transparency and flashing, although maybe it doesn't in this. Maybe we have that fixed. Oh, it looks really, really cool. I love the transparency on it. Wait, it's 2700 too much. 1700. So I think it was at night when it lights up. Or maybe it doesn't light up. Okay. But there was a other bug that was reported that's flashing. I can't seem to replicate it, but it used to blink green during the night. Alright, let's get to the next bug. Alright, next up we have a couple bugs with Pixelmon items. So the first one is there are several issues relating to things in the Pokedex. So some of the Pokemon are a little bit missized in the Pokedex. Their images don't really fit the frame really well. Caterpie is a notable one of them. And certain Pokemon do note that everything is in the Pokedex listed since I'm in creative mode. Not all these things are in. Where the hell is Poliwrath? That is something like 40s? Must be lower. There it is, Poliwrath. So Poliwrath has a messed up description. So there are some things that we have still working out as far as those. And some other item issues we have is we've added in some new TMs, or actually all of the HMs. And so we picked, some of these numbers may not agree with all of the games, because the games keep changing what things are assigned to, or which things are marked at which HM. So I kind of just went through when I was deciding which ones should be numbered and number them what I thought was best, and then I sent that over to the people programming those in. Damn it, Swineup, stop fighting me, I'm in the middle of a video. So that's some of the item issues that we've been having. And in case you're wondering why I'm player 984 or whatever, that's how it happens when we're running our test code, is we don't actually get our usernames and stuff logged in correctly. And so it just generates a random user number for us. Alright, on to the next bug. Alright, this next bug deals with some invisible Pokemon, so some things aren't having their models load correctly. So, Pokespawn Frostlass? Well, Frostlass seems to have the correct model. I don't know. I'm assuming a lot of these issues are reported when beta testers actually have things that are wrong. Like they don't have all of the correct assets or something in their version. But Frostlass does seem to be working correctly, so that's awesome. But a few Pokemon have turned invisible, so they'll just be, missing a model when they spawn. And certain Pokemon actually have some weird textures, so let's do Crocodile. Yeah, so we have some Pokemon that are still missing textures, and they have tendencies to fall through the ground. Those are some bugs that we're still working on. Seems like Frostlass has its hover just right. It's actually moving around quite a bit. And then we also have some interesting issues with some of the trainers. So I think it's Spawn... Let's see, I think it's female Rocket Grunt. Damn. Alright, I'll be right back as soon as I figure out exactly how to spawn in a trainer for that. Alright, well, we're back, and so it turns out we can still use the Pokespawn to spawn trainers, but we have some text filtering that actually makes the trainers that have a capital inside their name not spawn correctly. So I was able to spawn Fisherman and Youngster because they don't have a capitalization inside their name. But when I did Female Rocket Grunt, the F, the R, and the G should have been capitalized. And the way we do some filtering in the code, it actually uncapitalizes that, so it's not able to actually detect that there's a female Rocket Grunt able for spawning. So that's one of the bugs we're going to be fixing. That's actually a brand new bug that I found, so that's awesome. Making this beta video, the Dev Diary video has actually found new things to fix. So we'll move on to our next bug then, since that one doesn't seem to be one I can show you. Alright, well, we've got another bug. So this one is dealing with trade machines. So let's get a trade machine. So we've recently upgraded our trade machines so that they actually multi-block models. So as you can see, I can hover over here, 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 and like each one of these spots that I hover on actually has a box outline you can see in black there. And so one of the issues is if you, oops, I want to trade. If you sometimes destroy them, you actually get some of the invisible blocks still there. So even though I broke that trade machine, I still can't walk over its spot until I break all of these extra invisible blocks. So that's one of the things we're fixing. So the multi-blocks will hopefully make it so things can't be, you now stand on top of the machine rather than standing like on each one of the little shelves, which will hopefully save a lot of the problems that come up with trade machines and hitboxes and stuff like that. One of the other bugs we're experiencing is if you look straight down at your feet and place a healer, you can actually be inside the healer. Although once you walk out, you can't get back into it. So that's one of the bugs we need to fix. Alright, our next bug has to deal with some of the odd spawning positions some of the Pokemon have. So if I Pokespawn a, let's see, I think it is Porygon Z. Porygon Z actually flies way up in the air rather than down on the ground, but its name tag stays where it is. So that should not have happened. That actually should be hovering, I guess, on the ground. So we've got some bugs there, and I think the hitbox actually stays on the ground too. Yeah, I can't walk underneath it. Let me see, F3 and B shows hitbox. Yeah, so there's some little bit of model displacement issues there that we're hopefully going to have fixed up pretty soon. And then I'll move on to the next bug. Alright, our next bug deals with one of the many evolution lines that we finished up in the mod. So this is the Rhyperior. Actually, you can see the same bug kind of sort of dealing with this Pikachu right here. So that Pikachu actually stopped. Rhyperior, well, after falling through the ground, let me maybe spawn it up in the air more? Nope, it just keeps falling through the ground. Does it stop on rock? Does it just keep going? Okay, well that's a little bit unfortunate. I was trying to show it that when it actually is spawning out in the wild, it continuously spins like that Pikachu was. But you can see that there's still some issues when you spawn things. That's another one of the issues I was going to show in a bit, was that if you spawn things, they tend to drop through the ground, and they're not actually registered as being an entity that has to stop when there's a block underneath it. So I guess that's another bug to show you. Wasn't the one I was intending to, but it all works out. Alright, so our next bug deals with one of our two new spawning items, or editing items. So we actually have a trainer editor item. It looks kind of like the old rod or a pencil. I think the old rod looked like a pencil to begin with. But you click on a trainer with it, and it'll show their picture. You can change what model it has. So we have the Steve skins. Wow, we actually have a whole variety of different sub-Steve skins and things like that. And there were some bugs where the textures did not actually show up, but I think looks like we've actually gotten that bug fixed. You can change their greetings, their win messages, their loss messages, what drops they have. You can make them boss trainers, so boss trainers are a new thing. You can set their AI mode to wander, and you can actually change it to different levels of bosses. And there's different encounter modes and things like that. And then you can also kill the trainer with the delete button. But yeah, there were some bugs where you'd have issues where the skins weren't showing up. And I'm pretty sure there's some issues where the boss sometimes has some issues. Let's take it on with our Polyrath and see if there's any in-game issues. Oh, some Vulpix. Good, I have Bubble Beam, so I can handle this Fire Breather pretty easily. How come Bubble Beam hardly did any damage to this Vulpix? That's rather odd. Oh, it's killing my special attack. Anyway, and there were also some bugs. I don't think I actually have a Whirlwind or anything that I can use here. But there were some bugs where if you used Whirlwind in an NPC trainer battle, you once again could get yourself out of the trainer battle rather than having it do the correct function, which it should be to switch the Pokemon out for yours. So these boss trainers are pretty evil, I've got to admit. Although it seems like their levels aren't always... Oh no, so their levels are, if you saw right there, it started out as level 22, and then its level switched to 53. And it shows that we still have some issues with the UI changing on when you actually do end up clearing or killing one of the trainers' Pokemon. It shows the wrong level right when it spawns in. Would like to get out of this battle, but I think that's all of the bugs that we currently had for when you're fighting trainers, so that's a cool little thing to show you guys. Alright, we're back with a few model issues. So some issues we have sometimes with the hitboxes being in the wrong place. If we Pokespawn a Salamence, SAL, its hitbox is actually really, really big compared to its model. That's actually not too bad right now. It is having some issues walking through the ground, but you can't actually get close to it. When you're just walking or running, you actually cannot jump on top of it like you can on some of the other models. Its hitbox is a little bit weird sized. Actually, it's kind of floating on the grass there. That's due to the hitbox actually showing it's still up here when it actually should be down another level. And so there's some issues fixing up some of the hitboxes like that. We also have a texture issue with Chimchar. So Chimchar should have a flame tail, and as of right now, we currently do not. This was a similar issue we had when we were putting flame tails on the Charmander line back in one of the 2.5 releases. Is the flame would occasionally disappear, so we have to program that flame effect back onto the Chimchar line. And then our last model issue, and the last bug of this dev diary, is Galvantula has some weird lighting issues. You can actually see it's got shadows on the top of its model, and it's got light on the bottom. So some of these models don't actually properly use lighting effects, and they don't have, like, I mean, with Chimchar, you know, the lighter spots of its models are on the top, It's actually got shadows on the bottom edges of it. So some of them ended up getting inverted for some reason, and so that's one of the other bugs we've been working on fixing. Alright, I think that will just about do it for all of the bugs and stuff that we have for this week's Dev Diary. I'm hopefully going to try to do these a little bit more often, but, I mean, it took us most of a week to come up with that many bugs to show you guys. I think that makes just about the right length for a single episode. So, when I get some more new interesting bugs or something really funny and crazy, I'll pop back on to show you guys this. But until then, just keep up checking the pixelmonmod.com blog, and we will keep you updated on the progress with the beta. Alright, see you next time, Ghost Pups and Pixelmon fans.